and Accreditation NAC peer team for accreditation of colleges across India. Now I request Sir to deliver his opening remarks.
Today's chief guest, Professor Irfan Sheikh, Secretary of MC Society, Dean and Director Dr. Roshan Kazi, Dr. Shagufta Madam, organizing leader of this FDP, Dr. Nilufar Sheikh, the other faculty members, and dear participants from all over the country. I am very happy that more than 100 participants are joining us this afternoon for this 7-day faculty development program on transforming education. I need not speak much because Professor Irfan Sheikh in his chief guest address has covered everything right from empowerment to the enrichment of the future of the teachers and also Dr. Roshan Kazi. But at the same time, I would like to transform or make use of this opportunity in making a very bold announcement with the permission of the chairperson, the chief guest of today. Sir, today is the first faculty staff development program organized by the university under the aegis of Faculty Staff Development Center, which we were supposed to inaugurate formally, but because of some guests who have come here, but the transformation takes place in a miraculous manner. I would urge you to declare open this center and declare the first maiden program of this university under the Faculty Staff Development Center known as Faculty SDC. I request Professor Irfan Sheikh to do the honors by formally declaring it. No other person other than the secretary can do justice to our little humble efforts, and it's a small transformation in the step towards the future. So we need your blessings, we need your approval, and we need your inaugural declaration. Please, I request you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Lawrence, sir, for this kind gesture and good words about me. But I am blessed to be a part of the organization that is Maharashtra Cosmopolitan Education Society for last 40 years. And Honorable Dr. P.A. Namdar, Honorable Chancellor of Dr. P.A. Namdar University and the President of Maharashtra Cosmopolitan Education Society for last 40 years. And Mrs. Abeda Inamdar, Vice President of Maharashtra Cosmopolitan Education Society. With their blessings, I say that this FDP, the first FDP organized by the Faculty Development Center of the Dr. P.A. Namdar University is inaugurated, is launched, and I wish that many more faculty development programs are conducted under the aegis of Dr. P.A. Namdar University Faculty Development Center, and many more my teachers, brothers, friends, students, they get benefited from the training programs conducted under the aegis of Dr. P.A. Namdar University's Faculty Development Program. I congratulate all of you once again for your great efforts. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I stand humbled and with folded hands. I thank you for giving us your blessings, and we will take your direction, and we'll see that this center, the Faculty Staff Development Center, works as a tool for empowering, enhancing the future and transformation of our teachers. Thank you so much. And friends, on behalf of the university, I welcome each one of you for this 7 days intellectual treat. I'm sure that a lot of mental jogging, etc., will take place. You are having very good resource persons whom I know them personally, Dr. Archana Singh, Dr. Sachin Kadam, Dr. Bala. These people will really, it will be a food for thought process for you. And as Irfan sir said, that there is a lot to be done as far as transformation is concerned. It's a big process. So according to me, there is an interplay. There is a interaction, and there should be a fusion of four E's. The first one is enhancement of the further role of the teacher. Enhancement of the role. One cannot be just satisfied with the present role which you are doing. Enhancement of the further role according to the changing needs, as Irfan sir directly said about the new technologies, the new digitalization, and as far as the stress more on artificial intelligence. Teachers are intelligent, but they have to face now and enhance their role with artificial intelligence. That will be one of the biggest challenges. The second is that enrichment, enrichment of the teachers with the four important factors called KUSA, KUSA, knowledge, K for knowledge. Every day the teacher should be enriched. Then only transformation will take place with new knowledge, with a newer understanding, with the newer development of skills, and with newer approach and applications. That is the enrichment. And teachers should be engaged 24 into 7, minusing the casual leave, other leave, etc. They should be engaged, they should be mentally jogging, they'll be actually on the feet, and the engagement should be full of excitement. If there's a fusion of this 4-4, there'll be surely transformation. And there's no more room for any shortcomings and setbacks. The teacher has to be alert, the teacher has to be this thing, because more importantly, the student has become more cleverer than the teacher. That I would not like to make any dig at anything. The student is more techno savvy. The student is more receptive. So the transformation has to take place to handle the new students, to see that proper effective counseling, mentoring, program based activities, activity based learning, management games, practical field trips, etc., should be the order of the day. And this new pedagogies, new things should take place. Then only transformation will come. Transformation takes place just like how from the lava stage to the caterpillar stage, the caterpillar, the ugly caterpillar turns into a butterfly. So I'm sure that the 7-day program will give you a colorful butterfly feeling, butterfly high, butterfly empowered. God bless you, and I welcome you. And once again, I thank Irfan sir for blessing us with the inaugural of this program. And I'm sure that this faculty development program will certainly help you in a long way. And I must congratulate Dr. Roshan and his team for having uh, thought of this topic. And to dwell on this topic for 7 days is an intensive refresher course, a orientation course by itself. God bless you. Become empowered, become refreshed, and become transformed. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lawrence sir, for for enlightening us with the four E's: enhancement, enrichment, engagement, and empowerment. Your words have truly inspired us and motivated us. Now, I kindly request everyone to turn on your cameras and be ready as we take a screenshot for our memory and records. Let's capture this wonderful moment together. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Now, I would like to invite Nilufa ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks for the inaugural session.
Sure, ma'am. I hope I'm audible again.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. As we set out on this intellectual journey, we hope that this week long FDP will offer all attendees a plethora of insights, enable fruitful interactions and discussions, and inspire fresh perspectives about the topic at hand. On behalf of Dr. P.A. Inamdar University, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our esteemed guests for inaugurating this FDP today. A special thanks to today's chief guest, Professor Irfan Sheikh, Secretary MC Society, for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion and officially inaugurating this FDP and the Faculty Development Cell. Sir, your presence has truly elevated this program. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. P.A. Namdar University, Dr. M.D. Lawrence, for his opening remarks and sharing invaluable insights that have enlightened and inspired us. Thank you very much, sir. I extend my deep appreciation to our Dean and Director, Dr. Roshan Kazi, for his unwavering support and encouragement in organizing this FDP successfully. Thank you very much, all the teaching and non-teaching staff. Dear participants, there is an announcement for every one of you. Please be informed that we are going to continue with the same link for our very first session of FDP to be delivered by Dr. Archana Singh. So please be present here as we will be starting the session in a short while. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am. Shagufta ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Now we have come to the end of the inaugural session. And now we are ready to begin our first session of the day. It is my pleasure to welcome Mrs. Archana Singh. And to do her introduction, I call Nilufa ma'am.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, so we will be starting the first session right away. So it's an honor to introduce the first session speaker of the FDP, Dr. Archana Singh. Dr. Archana Singh, a professor at Dr. D.Y. Patil B School, is a distinguished academician, researcher, and trainer in accounting and business administration with 19 years of teaching experience. She holds dual MCom degree, a B.Ed, and a PhD from Savitribai Phule Pune University. A rank holder and President Award recipient, she is also a recognized PhD guide at Symbiosis International and Sri Balaji University, Pune. Dr. Singh has published extensively in Scopus and ABDC indexed journals and authored book chapters. Her expertise lies in accounting, finance, and sustainability. She was honored with the National Award for Education Excellence in the year 2019 as the best accounting faculty in Pune. A passionate educator, she engages students through innovative teaching methods, MOOCs, and LMS courses. A sought-after speaker at workshops and MDPs, she is committed to fostering lifelong learning and academic excellence. Now, I request Dr. Archana to take over the session. Over to you, ma'am. Archana, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Nilofer, for a lovely introduction. Thank you so much, Shagufta, Dr. Roshan Kazi, all the dignitaries for inviting me for this session. So I can see that there are 100 participants, and I hope that each one of you are here to learn.
Ma'am, we have crossed 100 and we also have a live streaming on YouTube.
Oh, that's good.
So we'll share the link here also. Like if you want to share with anyone, the participants, you can tell them to join on YouTube. We have shared the link on the group also, WhatsApp group.
Oh, that's great.
Thank
So, to proceed with, as we know that this FDP is majorly significantly focusing on outcome-based education, right? And sometimes we find that when people are talking about Bloom's taxonomy, outcome-based education, program education objectives, course outcomes, session objectives, it is not so attractive. It just sounds very boring to academia as well as, to the students. But the whole quality of academics lies in the beauty of understanding how important outcome-based education is for the academics industry as well as for the students. Correct? So until and unless you're not the in charge of NAC, NBA, AICTE, people just want to stay away and focus on the traditional teaching which they used to do before. But the era has changed, and it is very important that whatever we do has some kind of a process wherein there is an input, there is a process, and then there is an assessment. So if you ask me to define an equation for outcome-based education. The equation can be very simply defined as outcome-based education is the function of inputs, process, and assessment. So for any higher education institution or university, when we say outcome-based education, what do we mean by that? We say that learning outcomes are the function of inputs, process, and assessment. What are the inputs? The resources. The resources like students, teachers, curriculum, learning material. What would be the process? The teaching pedagogy, the methods, the strategies which is being employed. And in assessments, we are going to talk about all the tools which are very, very important to evaluate and find out the desired learning outcomes, right? So, if I could just ask amongst all the audience, how many of you have dealt with the NAC criteria related to outcome-based education? Can you please raise your hands? And I'll be really happy if you can switch on your cameras because I'll be interacting with you and teaching you. If you could please switch on your cameras. Lovely. I can see Abha, Priyadarshini. Yes, please, very quickly. How many hands are raised for those who have handled the criteria where you have to justify the learning outcome, course outcome? And you know, it's a struggle. Somewhere down the line, it's a struggle for all the educational organizations to justify what they're actually doing. But if we are thorough with what's the flow, what's the process, and why we are doing it, it will no more be an exercise for us. Rather, it will be an achievement for us when we are in a position to understand the same. Okay, so Abha, can you please tell me what is your understanding about program educational objectives?
uh, Program educational objective, basically we are trying to focus on what are those goals that we wish to achieve through implementation of a particular program.
Okay, what are the goals? Okay, Priyadarshini, if you could throw some light on that before I proceed further.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, very much audible. Priyadarshini, please go ahead.
I think goal-oriented education, that should be the purpose. That is what I feel. Goal-oriented means what are we trying to teach the students? What type of skill sets are we going to equip them with? Are we trying to just create unemployable masses or learned, educated, knowledgeable people who can really contribute something to the transformation of the nation? That is what I feel.
Okay, great. Shagufta ma'am, is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. You have shared the screen? No, we
I've
can't
just
see.
shared the screen. Is it visible?
Not yet, not yet.
Have you allowed me to do so? Ah, yes. Check now.
Yes.
It's visible. Is my screen visible?
No. Yes, it is coming. Yeah, yeah. Now it is visible, ma'am.
Okay. So what
But it is in mirror, a mirror image. Can you put it on share screen directly? Share the window, I guess.
now is it visible?
It is, but it is a mirror. I guess, is it only for me or everybody is seeing it in the mirror image? Yeah, yeah. It has
No,
come.
it's okay. It's
No,
not
we are
clear.
able to see it clearly.
You are able to see clearly? Okay, fine then.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Visible? Visible.
Yeah, visible, ma'am.
Okay, great. So just now I asked a very simple question to Priyadarshini and Abha as to what are program educational objectives. See, let us understand the importance of outcome-based education and all the 100 people or more than 100 people who are already joined over here. My request to you would be, as an academician, as a faculty, it is very important that you understand these flow, these terminologies and the whole process from the point of view of outcome. Because otherwise, irrespective of whether you are NBA, NAAC, AICT criteria head or not, you are a big failure as a teacher if you are not in a position to understand what is program educational objective, what are graduate attributes, what is course outcome, what is session objective, why we are incorporating Bloom's taxonomy, why do we follow it. So if a teacher or a faculty is clueless about all this, probably he or she does not deserve to be a faculty. So my humble request is this wonderful FDP is focusing on such significant important parameters, talking about the quality of academics and academic industry. Being a prominent part of this industry, it is mandate for us to understand. How do we start with the journey of outcome-based education? This is just an example I have taken. Okay, how do we start with the journey of outcome-based education? It starts with your vision, mission, and core values. Let's say PA Namdar University, whatever their vision is, whatever their mission is, and their core values. This is going to lead us step by step, and at the end, there will be an outcome which will be benefiting the society, students, and the economy, right? So when you think of outcome-based education, very first as a university, as an individual, as a faculty, as a department, you have to be very clear with the vision, mission, and core values. Okay? So first and foremost thing, be clear with the vision, mission, and core values of your university or your organization. What comes next? Next, you have to be very particular, precise in understanding what is the global, national, and local demand. What is the need of the day? Because whatever is the need of the day is going to be the outcome of our education which we are going to deliver. Are you with me, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We're listening.
Archana ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
can you just make your screen slide full screen?
I tried doing that. It was not happening. Ah, okay.
Hi, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So very first we have to understand, so if I have to generate the PEO, the program educational objectives, the graduate attributes, and coming to the bottom of the outcome of the education of PNM, that university, first I need to be very, very clear with the vision, mission, and core values of any university. What comes next? Next, what comes is the global, national, and local demand. And I would request you to write this flow, because understanding this flow makes you very, very clear when what do we mean when we say what is outcome-based education. Okay? So when I say global, national, and local demand, number one, talking about the growing job market, then the economic growth, global supply chain, startup ecosystem, sustainability, and tech. Are we sufficing this need of the industry when we are delivering through the system of education? Are we really helping to fulfill this demand? And if there is a gap between the aggregate supply and aggregate demand, it is because somewhere down the line, there is an issue with the process. There is an issue with the vision or mission and core values, or we are not in a position to understand how to fulfill the global, national, and local demand. Next, you have to design your curriculum in such a manner. See, I have not yet come to program educational objectives. We are still focusing on the overall expectation of the stakeholder, the overall need of the society and the economy and the industry. So, starting with vision, mission, core values, going ahead with the global, national needs, and now the most important part, when we develop the curriculum, it has to be designed keeping in mind the global needs, national needs, regional needs, and local needs. Why? Because if I'm not in a position to fulfill the need, whatever we have designed in the curriculum is a big failure. If the national need is of a taxation assistant, and after studying the whole curriculum, my student is not in a position to get placed as taxation assistant, then in that case, the whole system becomes a failure. So developing the curriculum design as per the global need, national need, regional need, and local need becomes very, very, very important. Is everybody with me? Yes or no?
Yes, yes, ma'am. We are with you only.
So anytime if somebody tells you that your organization is doing outcome-based education or not, the right way of justifying is to start this way. Okay. Now, proceeding further, what is going to be our approach, the outcome-based approach? What will be the stakeholders' engagement, and what all are going to be the most important elements and innovative initiatives, right? So how do we focus on that? The first and foremost important element, the learner-centered based approach. What is the learner-centered based approach? To focus on students achieving defining learning outcomes. The curriculum design, as I said, should be expanding opportunities, should be maintaining the demand, should be fulfilling the demands and the high expectations. And it is very important that all the stakeholders engaged in this process, whether it is industry, interface, whether it is experts, faculty, alumni, students, placement cells, and university experts, we have to focus on all these important elements. Okay, so once you are clear with what your approach is going to be and what is the stakeholder engagement in the outcome based approach, then we come on the next step, that is GA, PEO, PO, and CO, the graduation attributes, the program educational objectives, the program objectives, and the course outcomes. And I'll be specifically teaching you, we'll be doing an exercise also today. I'll be specifically teaching you how to generate and frame the PEO, PO, and COs, right? And in tomorrow's session, we'll practically make a session plan and justify. इसके बाद आपको न CO से डर लगेगा, न PO से, न PEO से, न framing GA से, nor will you get confused when somebody will question you on outcome-based approach. Okay? Then definitely innovative initiatives matters a lot. That what kind of are you fostering the global leadership, global innovation, national leadership, national innovation, and entrepreneurship skills, right? So the outcome of all this would be your graduates will be equipped with skills for real world challenges. Fine. So this was the flow of how do we think of when we start thinking for outcome based education. Yeah. When we think of outcome based education, that's how we need to start. Geet Balaji, are you there? Mr. Ali Jafri, are you there? Dr. Shagufta, are you there? May I please request the participants who are available on camera to switch on their camera for a while? Yeah, can you switch on your camera for a while, one or two of you? Okay, shall we proceed further?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you think of outcome-based education, as I discussed with you, we proceed with the vision, mission, and core values, and then followed by what is the need, global need and national need. Yes, and that's how we need to talk about it. Let's talk about the program educational objectives and the graduate attributes, right? So what do we mean by graduate attributes? Neetu, can you throw some light on the same? Neetu Kumari, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what is your understanding about graduate attributes?
One second, ma'am.
Some qualities.
Qualities and skills that students develop while they are in a college or while they are in a schools or university, you can say.
Yeah, so very simply put, graduate attributes are the qualities which we expect as an outcome at the end of a program or what the program aims to, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So similarly, from the graduate attributes, what we define or what we derive. What comes first? First, we need to think of the program educational objectives, or first we need to think of the graduate objectives?
Program one.
Will come first. The program educational objective will come first, followed by the graduate activity, from where we go to the course outcome and then to the session objective, right? So please understand, my dear friends, program educational objectives means we want to set a long-term, a broad goal of the program. Program specific outcomes are the specific skills and knowledge, okay, which we align with the program's focus. For example, MBA and MCA. So with MBA, we want to align certain skills and knowledge. With MCA, we want to align certain skills and knowledge. And graduate attributes would be the general qualities or the transferable skills. And when we talk about course outcome, we specifically want to outline the objective and competency of students, right? Which is further taken down to session objectives, wherein we summarize overall abilities and skills of students to acquire by the time they graduate. Fine. So this is going to be the flow. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay. So can you see what is the first thing in outcome-based education? The stakeholders' engagement is very, very important. Then comes the program-specific outcomes, the graduate attributes, the program outcomes, and the course outcomes. I'll be giving you a simple example for the same. Actually, we have people from different universities, yes or no? Neethu, you're from which university?
Sri Balaji University.
Sri Balaji University. Oh yes, Dr. Neethu Kumari. And Priyadarshini ma'am, you're from which university? Priyadarshini ma'am, are you there? Javed sir, are you there? Javed sir, are you there? So what I wanted you all to do is, as I'm right now in connect with Neethu ma'am, let's do a small exercise very quickly, very, very, very quickly. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, it's visible, ma'am.
Great. So what I want you to do is, I want you to make this kind of a curriculum mapping for developing the needs aligned with course outcomes. Okay, you can take up any of your subject as your key subject and then talk about the global, national, regional, and the local need as to how your university or your organization or you as a faculty are in a position to map the subject with the global, national, regional, and local need. Is everybody with me? This is a very important exercise. I'm waiting for 5 minutes for you to complete this and come back to me. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to write the key subject. You have to write the key subject. And along with the key subject, I want you to write the global, national, regional, and local needs. This is called curriculum mapping. Okay, what is this called? Yeah, can we do this quickly? I'm keeping the slide open for you. Your time starts now. It's for 5 minutes. Okay, are we done? Anybody who has done it, please raise your hands. Nilambari, Mr. Javed, Mr. Dhananjay, Neeti Kumari. Anybody who did it what I asked you to do? Hi Mandeep, are you done? If you don't get any answers, I'll proceed further. Great. So I'm proceeding further. See, you also need to keep in mind the NEP implementation. Why the national education policy becomes very, very important, because there is a choice-based credit system which gives the freedom to the students to easily align with the local and global blends, needs, specializations in order to foster the knowledge and skill, right? So this becomes very, very, very important. We talked so much about development, needs, outcome, education. What about sustainability? If your vision, mission, core values, your graduate attributes, your program educational objectives, these are not in line with the sustainable development goals, the whole exercise needs to be started again from scratch. So we should be in line and in alignment with quality education, reduced inequalities, industry innovation, sustainable cities and communities, right? Proceeding further, let's specifically talk about graduate attributes. Let's say the MCA program, which is almost in many universities and organizations, what could be their graduate attributes and what could be their program outcomes? So there is an interlink between graduate attributes and the program outcomes, correct? So we should know specifically how to design the graduate attributes and program outcomes. Nilofer ma'am, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Yes, ma'am. Tell me.
So Nilofer ma'am,
Yeah, ji,
if
ma'am.
I ask you to generate at least 2 graduate attributes and the program outcomes for your MBA, can you do that for me now?
Surely, ma'am. Graduate attributes should be good communication skills, according to me. The MBA graduate should have.
I've already demonstrated a sample for you on the screen. Is my screen visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? So program outcomes, as I said, are already in line. They're long-term in nature, they're broad goals. They're already in line with the global, national, and local need. And they are in line with what? They're in line with the vision and mission and core values. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So along with that, so this is an example of graduate attributes and program outcomes for MCE. Let's say the graduate attribute is to demonstrate the ability to identify, formulate, and solve complex computing problems, leading to the program objectives of conceptual knowledge, problem analysis, conducting investigation. So every graduate attribute will be interlinked to the program objective. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Coming to the Bloom's level, we all know the levels of Bloom to remember, to understand, to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Now look at the beauty. How do we talk and link it to the outcome-based education? We had our graduate attributes, we had our program objectives, then we had the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy, and the outcome-based object education leads to knowledge, skill, and attitude. And then we are linking it to specific program objectives. Every graduate attribute has to be linked to a specific program objective. And next to that, we are even mentioning the pedagogical approach, because all these are interrelated and interconnected. Okay? These are all interrelated and interconnected. So when we think of the sequence, The program educational objective, I repeat, sets a long-term broad goal for the program. The PSP, the program specific outcomes, is the detail, the specific skills and knowledge that aligns with the program focus. The graduate attributes defines the general qualities and transferable skills that graduates should develop, and the course outcomes. It outlines the specific learning objectives and the competencies students should achieve by the end of each course. And that leads to the next and the last and the least one, that is student outcome, which summarizes the overall abilities and skills students should have acquired by the time they are a graduate, right? So this is very, 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 very important when we talk about the outcome-based education. How should we define the program educational objective? It's a broad statement. It's a broad statement which describes, after a few years of completing the program, how would we describe our graduates? Let the course be any, whether it is BBA, BCA, MBA, MCA. For example, to give you a simple example, let's say the program educational objective is graduates will be able to apply the fundamental knowledge of engineering to solve the real world problems, right? Or let's say the program education objective is graduates will be effective, as Nilofer mentioned, graduates will be effective communicators and collaborators in multidisciplinary teams. So your graduate attribute is more general. It has the cross-program aspect that complements the program educational objective, and it also complements the program-specific objective. And that's the reason, as you can see, what has been shown on the screen talks about, very first talks about the graduate attributes, and then it talks about the program-specific objectives and program educational objectives. To give you a simple example, let's say the graduate attribute is a graduate will demonstrate effective communication skills, both written and oral, in a variety of professional contexts, right? Now coming to the course outcome. Course outcome defines what students are expected to know, what students are expected to understand, and will they be able, what they will be able to do by the end of a particular course. So when it comes to specific measurement, it has to be aligned with the program specific outcome. It should be measurable. It should be understandable. Okay. So course outcomes always comes after the program specific objective and the graduate attribute. For example, for a course of thermodynamics, what will be the course outcome? It can be students will be able to apply the first and second laws of thermodynamics to solve engineering problems, right? Coming to this session outcome or students outcome. So it describes the skills, knowledge, and abilities which we expect when they complete the entire program. For example, students will demonstrate the ability to analyze complex problems and develop sustainable solutions using appropriate engineering principles. Yeah. So that's, and to give you in a sequence, if I have to give you an example, let's say we are designing it for an engineering program. So what will be the program educational objective? It could be that graduates will be able to apply engineering principles to solve real world problems in the field of mechanical engineering. What will be the program specific objective? We can put it as the graduates will be proficient in designing and testing mechanical systems, incorporating industry standard tools and techniques. And then we can talk about the graduate attributes, that they'll be able to communicate complex engineering concepts effectively in written and oral forms. Following that, what can be the course outcome? After completing the course on fluid mechanics, students will be able to calculate the flow rate and pressure drop in a pipe network. And the student outcome can be, by the end of the program, student will be able to critically evaluate engineering challenges and propose sustainable solutions based on sound analysis. So that's how we need to think of when we talk about program educational objective, program specific objectives, graduate attributes, okay, and course outcome and student outcome. So when I started, I told you that the whole process is the function of input, process, and output. So when we say it is the process of input, process, and output, what do we mean by process? By process, we mean this. We mean the teaching learning student-centric methods, wherein participative learning includes ICT-enabled lectures. Now, this specifically example is for NCA, case study discussions, group discussions, role plays, right? Similarly, research-based, experiential learning, problem solving. Now, talking about slow learner, advanced learner, identification, support, and development, which again plays a very, very important role. Yeah. Learning assessment method also plays a very important role. There can be two ways, direct versus indirect learning methods. Now, when we talk about direct methods for learning and we talk about indirect methods of learning, what do we mean by that? Direct method is any process wherein data is gathered to display the subject knowledge, behavior, and a thought process. Okay? Are you with me, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
An indirect method would be where you're asking the subject to reflect upon the knowledge and the behavior. Okay, there could be various testing instruments, a way of looking at the portfolio, rating skills. This is a compilation I have got beautifully from one of the programs I attended. The interviews, the focus group, observation, leading to the concept map, the quasi experiments. Yeah. So that's how we need to think over the direct and indirect method. Now let me just take you to another important aspect, that is the COPO user manual. So normally every university has a learning management system. LMS is an integral part of education, a very integral part of education. And it is very important that we understand the purpose, scope, and prerequisites of the same. The functionality on the LMS, the graduate attributes will be put in like this. The outcome-based education on the LMS would look something like this, as you can see, leading to the mapping criteria, program outcomes, right? The CEO statements. So all these things nowadays are totally incorporated in the LMS learning management systems of various universities and organizations, right? Now, one another important aspect is the assessment strategies and tools, that is checklist, rating scales, and rubrics. Okay. So this is the most critical thing as a faculty when we talk about the process and the assessment. We have to be very clear with checklist, rating scale, and rubrics. Okay. So what are checklist, rating scale, and rubrics? These fancy terminologies sometimes, sound very fearsome to all the faculty. So please understand, checklist, rating scale, and rubrics are the tools that state specific criteria and allows teachers and students to gather information and make judgment. Because otherwise, it becomes very difficult to have a quantitative and a measurable assessment strategies. Yeah. Can I please request one of the participants to read this document a little bit for me? Anybody who's available, Nilofer ma'am, Shagufta ma'am,
Yes, I'm here, ma'am.
can you please read a little loud for everyone?
The whole paragraph?
Yes, please.
Okay. Assessment strategies and tools, checklists, ratings, scales, and rubrics. Checklists, ratings, scales, and rubrics are tools that state specific criteria and allow teachers and students to gather information and to make judgments about what students know and can do in relation to the outcomes. They offer systematic ways of collecting data about specific behaviors, knowledge, and skills. The quality of information acquired through the use of checklists, rating scales, and rubrics is highly dependent on the quality of the descriptors chosen for assessment. Their benefit is also dependent on students' direct involvement in the assessment and understanding of the feedback provided. The purpose of checklists, rating scales, and rubrics is to provide tools for systematic recording of observations, provide tools for self assessment, provide samples of criteria for students prior to collecting and evaluating data on their work.
Great, thank you so much. So when we talk about the purpose of checklist, rating scheme, and rubrics, it's very important that everything is done in a structured manner. Okay, there has to be certain tools for self-assessment also. It is very important that the instructional needs should be recorded. And what are the tips I can offer to all the faculties who develop checklist, rating scales, and rubrics? Okay. First and foremost thing, your outcome is very important. Your checklist, your rating scales, and rubrics should be purely in correlation with the outcome. You have to use a very simple format, which is understood by the faculty as well as by the students, and ensure that your checklist, rating scale, and rubrics is very clear, specific, and observable, because this will make the process very simple to understand and to follow. Ensure that the rating scale and rubrics are dated to track progress over time, because timeline is very important when you talk about assessment strategies. If there is no timeline, things can go haphazard and haywire. Then it is also very important to record anecdotal notes or comments, the generic templates, which are very familiar to the students, and it should be purely depending on the outcome to be assessed. And along with that, it's very important for the faculty to direct and guide to the students so that the self-assessment purpose can also be served. Now, a checklist can be in which format? A checklist can be in the format of yes or no in relation to whatever is being demonstrated by the student. Okay? And this should be used when you want to record observations of an individual in the class, or you want to record the observations of a group of students in a class, or you want to record the observations of the whole class. Now, coming to the rating scales, it's important that we allow teachers to judge the degree or the frequency, what kind of a behavior has been demonstrated. Because there could be 3 or 4 responses selected sometimes when we talk about the quality or the frequency of the students' work. So teachers have to be very good observers, very good observers. They can use self-assessment tools. They should always be, pinpointing specifically the strengths and the needs. And rating scales are also very, very important because in a way, it's going to impact the overall performance, and the improvement of the performance in descriptive word very precisely by using the reliable tool can be a total game changer. Now, descriptors of quality. For example, sometimes you write fair, good, very good, excellent. Why are they less effective? Because a single adjective is never that attractive. So it has to be, the descriptors have to be lengthier and better. Now, when we talk about checklist on rating scale by adding additional steps, what you need to focus on is you need to think of encouraging and challenging the students. And the student performance needs to have a set criteria. Why a set criteria? Because we want focus on the quality and not on the quantity. So this consistency and reliability can be maintained through rubrics. And rubrics, why do a faculty uses rubrics? Because when you want to evaluate the student performance, whether it is of the whole class or it is of a group or an individual, over the time period, it becomes very, very easy for us to compare. Now, when we talk about the rubrics and scoring criteria, it's very important, my dear friends, that development and understanding of skills happens appropriately and correctly, so that the progression of development is visible in a student. So it's very important that the uh, rubrics should be constructed in such a manner that it gives input from the students whenever possible. So defining a quality work through rubrics or 3 to 5 descriptive levels for defining the rubrics can be a summative purpose to gauge the situation and the marks, right? What do you need to keep in mind when you are developing a rubric? So what you need to keep in mind while developing a rubric is specific outcome, very important. And then the experience which the students will have. Then how would a good performer or excellent performance look like? And how the qualities will be differentiated. Also, you need to keep in mind the response along with the performance quality, and every description should be qualitatively different from others. So please understand, this acceptable level has to be there. And then we need to use the Bloom's taxonomy to identify and differentiate between the criteria as you move up the scale. The criteria should not go beyond the original performance, my dear friends. And that's how the checklist rubrics play a very, very important role. So how do you create rubrics with students? So the quality and the phrases could be super, going beyond, meets the mark, needs more mark. Of course, depending on the higher education, we have to make the involvement of rubrics. So rubrics are often used as assessment of learning tools, and they play a very important role, right? Now let's talk a little bit on Bloom's taxonomy. Yeah, just give me a moment. So we all are very well versed with Bloom's taxonomy. It's basically a hierarchical classification of cognitive skills, which is used to promote higher forms of thinking in education. So originally this was developed by Benjamin Bloom and colleagues in 1956. And we know that the cognitive learning objectives are remembering, knowledge, understanding, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, that's creating, and evaluation to justify whether a decision or course of action. Synthesis means to compile information in a new way. Analysis leads to drawing connections amongst ideas. Application using information in new situations. And comprehension is about explaining ideas or concepts. And knowledge is to recall facts, terms, basic concepts, and answers. Ladies and gentlemen, the outcome-based education, the Bloom's taxonomy is very crucial. Why is it very crucial, dear? Because for formulating a learning outcome that focuses on both the depth and the complexity of learning, it emphasizes on measurable outcomes where each level of Bloom's taxonomy corresponds to different stage of student mastery. Let me give you an example. Let's say the outcome-based education example is student will be able to evaluate the ethical implications of business decisions. So here we are talking about evaluation level. Similarly, the other example, students will apply mathematical formulas to solve real world problems. So here we are referring to application level. In outcome-based education, please remember, my dear friends, the assessment always aligns with the specific level of Bloom's taxonomy to ensure students meet the intended outcomes. Because the assessment is very important to check the mastery levels of the students, and the basic information to synthesize new ideas. So assessment has to always align with the specific level of Bloom's taxonomy. We all have heard about Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, right? So Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence in outcome-based education is very important for academia and faculty to know. When we talk about Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, which is proposed in 1983, it challenges the traditional notion that is single general intelligence IQ. So what did Gardner say? According to Gardner, individuals have different kind of intelligences that reflects various ways people process information. So what are these processes? Linguistic, logical, mathematical, spatial, musical, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, right? So when we say linguistic, it is all about sensitivity to spoken and written language. When we talk about logical, mathematical, it is ability to analyze problems and perform mathematical operations. Spatial is ability to think in three dimensions, the way architects or artists would do. And the musical would be ability to discern and compose musical patterns, like the way musicians and composers do. Bodily kinesthetic means using the body to solve the problem, like an athlete or a dancer. Interpersonal would be understanding and interacting with others, like with teachers, interacting with therapists. And intrapersonal is, it's all about self-awareness. Self-awareness and ability to self-reflect, like the psychologists, philosophers. And last but not the least, the naturalistic, wherein it's all about ability to recognize and classify species in the natural world, like the biologists and environmentalists do. Right? So in outcome-based education, garden theory clearly supports, my dear friend, the idea that assess the learning outcomes catering to a wide range of intelligence. So outcome-based education, please remember, it always encourages creating a diverse learning opportunities and assessments that allow students to demonstrate their understanding or whatever they've learned in variety of ways, whether it can be through writing, it can be through art, performance, or a group work, right? So, say for example, if I have to give you a simple example, if the outcome is to understand the causes of environmental degradation, so here you are trying to check students' naturalistic intelligence, okay? And it can be assessed. How can you assess that? Very simple. You can assess it through fieldwork, projects, right? And There could be few students who are very good at linguistic intelligence. So what would you do with them? You can write essays or to engage them in debates, correct? So please understand there is a lot of interconnection between Bloom's taxonomy and Gardner's theory in outcome-based education. If I have to put just in a simple one sentence what kind of interconnection exists between Bloom's taxonomy and Gardner's theory, I would just say that Bloom's taxonomy guides the cognitive process. So when I say cognitive process, what am I referring to? We are referring to thinking and knowledge. Thinking and knowledge, my dear friends, focusing on what students are able to do intellectually. And Gardner's theory, it focuses on how students think, how do they acknowledge their intelligence. And it is multifaceted that each student might have their strengths in different areas. And therefore, if you ask me, the interconnection between Bloom's taxonomy and Gardner's theory in outcome-based education, we can conclude that both the theories complement each other. Teachers create learning outcomes and encourage students to demonstrate their mastery at different levels of cognition, which we talk about in Bloom's taxonomy, and through diverse expression of intelligence, which Gardner's theory has been focusing on. And this whole process allows the education system to be more inclusive. This allows the education system to be comprehensive educational experience where all learners, genuinely all learners, all students have a chance to succeed based on their individual strength and based on their learning style. Right? So these theories are very interconnected with outcome-based education, and outcome-based education follows the path of program educational objective, followed by program-specific outcomes, then to the graduate attributes, to the course outcome, and to the student outcome, right? So here we'll just take a small tea break for 5 minutes and we'll join again, Shagufta ma'am, if that's okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, can we take a small break of 5 minutes for tea break?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Just 5 minutes break and we'll get Okay, yeah.
Okay, back to ma'am again. Yeah.
Are you all ready to do an exercise on session plan? Are you all ready to do an exercise on session plan? Nilofer ma'am,
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Yes, ma'am, tell me.
can you just let me know do we have participants who would
Yes,
like
yes.
to interact and work on a session plan sheet? So I'll open and share it.
Sure, ma'am. Participants, now ma'am is going to give us some exercise and we are expecting full participation and interaction from your end. So kindly do so. Yes, ma'am, we are good to go.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to let me share my screen again with you, my dear friends. Is my screen visible?
Uh, Not yet.
Why is it not visible? Can you please allow me to share the screen, because I think Shagufta, you were sharing the screen.
Ma'am, I have allowed.
Did you stop sharing?
No,
Stop sharing yours, then it will be visible.
I have stopped sharing mine.
Okay. And then there's some technical issues not happening. Ah, yeah. Got it. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
You can see Nilambari, Jinesh, Javed, Mandeep saying
Perfect.
hi, hello on the chat box. Request you to be a little more active here on the screen also. So let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this session plan, okay? Now, this is a session plan. It's my session plan of one of my subjects I made. Yeah. So what we're going to do is choose any of your subject that you like to choose. And based on that, what we're going to do is, I want you to write the course outcomes, okay? And then I want you to correlate your course outcomes to the session objectives, okay? And linkage to the Bloom's taxonomy. Is everybody with me? Shelly, let's start with, we're not going to award you the certificate if you don't do this. Right, Nilofer ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you're right. Participants, please participate, interact. The speaker has taken lots of efforts to make all this material for everyone. So please, we are expecting some answers, some questions, some discussions to take place.
Okay, so first thing, everybody, I'm waiting for 10 minutes. I'll randomly call out the name. If you've not done this, you'll not be awarded with the certificate. Quickly write the name of the program, division, semester, code, and name of the facilitator, number of credits, course name. And I want you to write 5 course outcomes. I want you to write how many course outcomes? 5 course outcomes. Okay, it's very simple.
Ma'am, you may randomly pick anyone and they'll tell you the course outcomes for their
Yeah,
respective subjects.
because once you do this, I'm going to show you even assessment outcome mapping. Okay, so let's do this. I'm waiting for 5 minutes. Please raise your hands once done. I'm waiting for 10 minutes. I want everyone to finish till this step.
Hello, madam.
Yes, please tell me.
Should I speak?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Myself, Dr. Gayatri Deshpande. I am faculty at Ayurved Medical College. So I am presenting the course outcome for program is BMS. Course is first BMS class and course name is Sanhita Dhyan first and its code is SA1.
Gayatri, would you like to share your screen or would you like to just speak?
No, I just want to speak because I don't have made PPT. So I am just speaking the course outcomes for my subject.
Okay, Gayatri, please go ahead. I'm keeping the Excel open and I'm listening to
Okay. So my first course outcome will be this as my subject is to analyze or to interpret the Samhita, that is Charak Samhita or Sushrut Samhita. So my first course outcome will be distinguish the different Samhita, their importance and methodology, and familiarize the tools of Samhita Adhyayan, which will be the distinguish and analyze means Bloom's taxonomy, which we can apply here is the analyze level 3. Then course outcome second will be the interpret and apply the sutra of Sanhita in clinical practice. So here the level 4 and 5 interpret and application from Bloom's taxonomy. Course outcome 3 will be the apply and evaluate the dosh, dhatu, and mal. That are the basic principles of Ayurveda in clinical practice. So again, interpret application and evaluation, that is level 4 and 5. Course outcome 4, practice and prescribe dinacharya, that is daily regimen, rutucharya, seasonal regimen, and dietary principles for preservation of health. This is the creation, that is the level 6 of Bloom's taxonomy. And last course outcome, explore and distinguish different types of food groups, and medicinal dravyas mentioned in Sanhita. It is again analyze and interpretation, that is level 3 and level 4 from Bloom's taxonomy.
Okay, great, Gayatri. So your course is of how many credits?
Hello?
So Gayatri, your course is of how many credits?
Credit theory for 100 marks.
Ma'am is asking for how many credits this course is. 3 credits, 4 credits. You must be having
Okay,
some credits, yeah.
5 credits.
Okay. Ma'am, it's a 5 credit course.
So 5 credit course, 1 credit equals to how many hours, Gayatri?
Hello?
Yeah, so 5 credit course. So one credit equals to how many hours?
1 credit. No, there we don't match it credit and hours at present, madam.
Okay, you don't match in credit, but you must be teaching
Yeah.
the course for a stipulated time period, right?
Yes, yes.
What is that time period? It cannot be
One
any.
and a half, 1.5 year for each course in first in every curriculum year.
Now, how many sessions do you take to complete a particular course?
Okay, to complete a particular course, we have theory sessions of 140 hours for lectures and non-lecture activities or other for 140, and for practical sessions there are 140.
So this is for a particular subject or for the program?
Particular course, that is the my subject.
Particular,
Program is the BMS.
yeah. So particular course, right? 140
Yes,
hours,
yes, yeah,
correct? So Gayatri,
yes, yes,
whenever you are filling
yes,
up the course outcome, you
yes,
have to very clearly, if you look at the screen, you have to very
hmm,
clearly define and relate it later to the session objectives. Okay, so
yes,
let's say you are taking 140 sessions. Okay,
yes,
so for 140 sessions could be 140 session objectives. Can you see here? See, we need to understand the basic linkage very first.
that
So,
for
so
for every session I had to my learning objectives I had to make.
yeah, so for every session, you'll have a session objective. There should have been a pre-class homework. There has to be nature of
Assessment.
the session. You need to talk about the methodology of the session. You need to
Yes,
talk about post-class reflective work, the assessment task, the contact hour equivalent, and then when you are talking about the session objective, you have to see the main thing, Gayatri.
yes,
Your one session objective, how is it linked to your course outcome 1, course outcome 2, course outcome 3, course outcome 4, course outcome 5? Is the linkage very strong, strong, moderate, high, or low? Right? That's how we
yes,
justify every session objective linkage to the course outcome. Can you see it here?
yes, yes,
Right? So when you do this, the mapping gets done.
yes. Actually, I am doing it in our recently purchased software, but it is not completed yet. So I just gave the example of 5 outcomes. Actually, I have made lot of outcomes for total curriculum or for
When you
total
make
course
a
or
lot of
subject.
outcomes, your task becomes more complicated because
Yes,
as your number of hours are more, so obviously you'll have more outcomes, right? But then you
yes,
should be capable of linking your session. So these we call this to be Bloom's taxonomy linkages. What do we call it? Bloom's
linkages.
taxonomy linkages. So say
Bloom's
for
taxonomy.
example,
Yes.
over here in my first lecture, the
Hmm.
session objective is to demonstrate the meaning and role of financial accounting. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the linkage of meaning and role of financial accounting, it has a very strong linkage with my course outcome 1. Okay, it has
Yes.
a strong linkage with my course outcome 2, but it has a moderate linkage with my course outcome 3. It has a strong linkage with course outcome 4, or it has a very linkage with my course outcome 5. Okay. So once a
Yes.
faculty understands the see what are the course outcome performance standard, what we do is हम लोग course outcome बना के भूल जाते हैं. Correct?
Yes.
Things does not
Yes.
end only with course outcome. No, that's not how outcome-based education works. So next to the course outcome, what have we written? The course outcome performance standard. Can you see?
Yes.
So you should be capable of defining the course outcome performance standard, then writing your session objective, and you should be capable of correlating it with the course outcome 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What kind of a linkage it has?
Yes.
Are you getting? So let's
Yes. Yes.
लिंकेज जिस फैकल्टी को लिंकेज समझ में आ जाता है ना वो सेशन कोर्स आउटकम प्रोग्राम ऑब्जेक्टिव graduate attributes, इससे उसको डर नहीं लगता है. It's very easy. It's very
Yes,
simple.
ma'am.
आप जो कर रहे हैं, whatever you are doing, you just need to link it appropriate in the right manner. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Your presentation was so simple that all my queries are explained in your previous presentation.
Thank you so much, dear. Thank you so much, Gayatri. So this you have to understand. So we have course outcome for a subject. We have the performance standards for the same, and then we try to link those with, this is called course outcome mapping with session objectives. Have you ever done course outcome mapping with session objectives, Gayatri?
No, ma'am.
That is very important. Otherwise, your process is incomplete. Are you getting what has been done over here? Shagufta ma'am or Nilofer ma'am? Anybody there? Okay, I could see one more hand raised. Before I go on assessment outcome mapping, we can have a discussion of one more. Abha, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Abha. Yeah, can
Yes.
yeah.
The course that I teach, am I audible, ma'am?
Very much audible. Abha, go ahead.
Yeah. So the course I teach is environmental awareness. It is a 2-credit course for each semester, semester 1 and semester 2 for the first year students.
Okay.
Now, the course outcome that I have drawn is the first course outcome is to foster environmental consciousness in students, to create awareness as to how, through their informed choices, they can contribute towards environment conservation. This is the first basic, I would say, like you can say, in terms of performance standard, it might be, we can say, a low or a moderate outcome. Then the second one is help students understand and identify the problems related to the environment which are present at the local and regional level, which would be the moderate performance based. It would be a moderate standard. Third outcome, course outcome, is to impart knowledge as to how to address these various issues pertaining to the environment conservation, which would be again a moderate level. Fourth outcome is to evaluate the measures in terms of their long-term sustainability, which would be high, whereby a student here would be required to apply what they have learned so far in actually evaluating and analyzing the measures implemented for environment conservation as to how sustainable they are. And the last one would be practical participation in the environment conservation objective, in the environment conservation, which would be very high, where they would be required to think and come up with innovative solutions which can be practically implemented. So these are the five course outcomes for the 2-credit course, environmental awareness, the one that I'm teaching.
Okay. Now I have a question for you, Abha.
Yes.
Have you ever heard about, can you see on the screen, there is something called CO performance standard?
CO performance?
CO performance standard, course outcome performance standard.
No, ma'am.
So what happens now, Abha? This CO performance standard is basically our expectation. When you design a course outcome performance standard, you are referring to the specific expectation. So here we are trying to outline कि student कितना समझना चाहिए, बहुत ज़्यादा समझना चाहिए, थोड़ा समझना चाहिए, अच्छा समझना चाहिए, right?
Right.
There are certain things, for example, the previous lady Gayatri, that faculty, when she was discussing about her course, so there might be a possibility that kuch course outcome mein the standards are very high. So we want the students to be fully well versed with everything written in the course outcome. Very high, moderate, or low. So determining course outcome performance standard is very, very important. You have to write whether the course outcome standards are very high or moderate, right? Like you defined, आपने course outcomes बताए, correct?
Huh.
So what are the standards of the course outcome?
So again, it would differ as per the each of the course outcome. Like it would be a mixed bag from starting from the low standards to extremely high standards, like very high.
Fantastic. So what you need to do is, you need to define that. You need to define that next to your course outcome. The way I've written, no, CEO performance standard.
Right.
So you have to write whether the standard is very high, very moderate or high, correct? Then
right.
what comes, like for your subject, how many session objectives will be there?
As I said, it's 1 credit, so 15 hours. So it's 2 credit course, so 30 hours, 30 sessions.
So then as a faculty, you need to be very clear with, so this is going to be the topic. Look at the screen. Is the screen visible?
Yes, yes, yes.
See, we just have to break down. We are already working hard. It's just that we need to put it in the right documented way. So there is a session 1, then the topic, the subtopic, duration of the session, then the session objective, then pre-class homework, the nature of the session methodology, the post-class reflective work. Then there will be some assessment task you will give in between, right? Maybe on 1 unit, 1 task, correct?
Right.
Contact HR equivalent, and the last one which we miss out, mapping of course outcome with the session objective. So how strong, how moderate, how weak, how high is the linkage? जैसे मैं आपको सिंपल बताऊं, let's say you are 5 brothers and sisters, okay? You are your linkage with your eldest sister is very strong. With the younger one is moderate, right? And with the other one, it's like so strong linkage, weak linkage, moderate linkage. So here we are talking about linkage between course outcome and session objective. Are you understanding?
Yeah.
So मैंने आज बच्चों को पढ़ाया how to illustrate the framework of basic rules of accounting. Now when I think of this was my session objective. Every student should know the framework of basic rules of accounting.
Right.
But this particular session objective of mine is moderately linked to my course outcome 1. Correct? Let's say it is strongly linked to my course outcome 2.
Right.
Let's say it is it has a very weak linkage with my course outcome 3. Let's say it has a very weak linkage with course outcome 4, and it has a very strong linkage with course outcome 5. So every session objective will have a linkage with your course outcome. The linkage can be strong, the linkage can be weak, this is what Bloom's taxonomy teaches you. हम आधा ही follow करते हैं, हम पूरा correlate करना ही भूल जाते हैं as faculty.
Right. So that is for each session that we would be conducting.
For each session, I'm mapping my CO with my session objective.
Okay, right.
I am mapping my COs. Very first, I define the standard of my COs. Okay.
Yes.
The CO I defined by ये वाला course outcome moderately achieve करना है. ये वाला course outcome very high achieve करना है. ये वाला course outcome I'm going to achieve moderately. Course outcome 4 highly to be achieved. Course outcome 5 highly to be achieved. And then we talk about session objectives. In the session objectives, one second, huh? Okay, where is it? Sorry. Yeah. So very first we define the standards of a course outcome. Okay. And then every session which we are conducting, objective of that session, we are linking with the CO1, CO2, CO3, CO4, CO5. Achieved. See, when you map, you are showing the achievement.
Dr. Archana, shall I put forward my point?
Please. Who's this? May I know who's this?
This is Professor Dr. Padmapriya from Symbiosis.
Yeah, please, Padmapriya, tell me.
Yeah, actually, see, now what we are discussing is about mapping it and ultimately trying to understand its intensity wise. But according to me, we can't compartmentalize it that extent that wherein, because it changes from student to student, it changes from what you can say for which particular type of course that you're teaching. It changes from the student and their level of understanding. So there are so many other criterias which could be rather other variables apart from just the course material as well as the course content, which should be taken into consideration while designing this teaching pedagogy. Because if you tightly compartmentalize this, probably it will lose its relevance to some extent after some time. And that's the reason I feel that we should be very careful to modify it, tweak it, customize it as per the situation, as per the even time, as per the course, what we can say level. Suppose it is for graduation, if it is for post graduation, if it is for diploma. So these customization is very, very important. It can't be compartmentalized. So this care need to be taken, as you said, is rightly said, but this is the new addition to what you're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely, Padmapriya ma'am. See, if I am talking about a technical course, or when we talk about a management course, or when we are going into natural sciences, right? This would definitely vary from courses to courses and programs to program. Here, what I'm trying to make a point is I'm just trying to give the basic, as to what happens is as faculty, we forget to link our course outcomes with the session objectives. And that's where, the consequences varies. Because somewhere down the line, everybody is designing the course outcome. But when it comes to the course outcome performance standards, and when it comes to mapping it with the course outcomes designed for a particular subject, so we are somewhere down the line lacking in doing that particular mapping. But definitely, I totally agree with you that depending on the courses, on the programs, so the nature and attribute of the program and subject will have a lot of variation. But then for be it any subject, be it any program, there would be a standard being followed. And for a faculty, it can be very easy and simple to do the mapping of objectives with the course outcomes.
Yeah, because at the time of teaching, ultimately, these things which probably may be on the paper, which is a plan, but when it comes to the execution of it, we have to be very specific. We have to be very much responsive to the situation, the student, and their, like interested or expected way of learning. And all those things become more important than, like aligning it at moderate level or at high level or at low level. That is what my point is.
That's absolutely right. But when we make it this way, there is a direction, a clear-cut blueprint right in front of us, which can be followed. And as you said, it can definitely vary. And when it varies, we should be adaptable enough to make the changes required in our session plans. So, yeah.
Ma'am,
Thank you so much for the wonderful inputs, Dr. Padmapriya.
Ma'am, right now, as Priya ma'am pointed out, probably then we can find a midway out of this. That is, as she said, that it becomes difficult to match the session objectives with the course outcome for each individual student. Probably after that particular session, we finish with teaching of that particular session. We can include that in the assessment as to how we want to assess students. So depending upon, like, sure, individually we can give assessment which would cater to the students with the average learning outcomes, the students who are a little more above average, and the students who are exceptionally good, where we are expecting very high performance standards. So that variation can be done at the assessment of each of these sessions when we are giving assignments to them, instead of actually going about while teaching, which needs to be more uniform to all the students.
Yeah, actually, that you can do what you're saying for different types of students, but this can be bifurcated at the evaluation pedagogy, wherein probably if you're making the rubrics or maybe you're designing the different evaluation patterns for different types of people. So this bifurcation regarding testing the different types of students and making them tested on the right ground or right scale, that can happen there instead of content. Because when it comes to the content delivery, more or less it has to be uniform. But when it comes to evaluation, because generally when the students are evaluated, the evaluation grade that they are going to get depends on the performance and the preparations they have made at their end individually by taking initiatives.
Yes, yes.
That time it becomes more relevant also, it becomes more practical also, that you are ultimately testing their knowledge on the basis of their initiatives of self-learning as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, why don't we do one thing? Let's take 10 minutes and work on it a little bit. And let's come out with few examples of assessment very quickly, all of us. Yeah. As we have been discussing so much on it, let's think of an assessment task. Let's think of the description of the task, and let's go ahead with the assessment elements, rubrics, Bloom's taxonomy, level weightage, and the mapping with course outcome. I give you 10 minutes and we'll come back with the discussion on the same. For your reference, I've shown something on the slide. Please have a look.
देशाची फायदी झाली ती कशाच्या आधारावरती झाली धर्माच्या आधारावर आणि धर्माच्या आधारावर फायदी झालेली असताना ज्या बांगलादेशाला हिंदुस्थान स्वातंत्र्य
Yes, please, those who are done, please raise your hands. Those who are done with it, please raise your hands. Can we have a discussion on the same? Lovely, we have Abha who has raised the hand. Please go ahead, Abha. Whatever you have done. Abha, please start.
Yes, ma'am. As far as the assessment is concerned, first assessment would be for the course outcome 1. That is just to check whether the awareness has been imparted to the students, and course outcome 2 to impart the basic knowledge on environment protection. Now, since my subject is environment awareness, I go with that. Which is of a low performance standard evaluation assessment, where just general question and answers, explain the causes, explain the effects. Assignments like these would be given to a student. Then would be the second level, that is to check the moderate performance of the student, which would be linked to course outcome 3, that is to help student identify the problem, and with their existing knowledge of environment. So in this, a question like identify the different kinds of environmental problems which are existing in your area and locality, and suggest solutions to that. Then would be the third level of assessment, high level performance, where a case study would be given to a student, which is linked to the fourth course outcome, that is to evaluate the measures in terms of their long-term sustainability. So actually a case study would be given to a student, and the students are supposed to analyze that particular case study and come up with the solutions and methods that would be sustainable in long run. But they themselves have to come up with some solutions to the problem. And then the fourth level of assessment, which is the the highest performance level, that is where we are expecting students for innovation to design an innovative plan to address a particular environmental problem which is existing from local to global level. So to come up with particular innovative idea to address that particular issue at local level, which would automatically help in adding up to a bigger picture at a global level and addressing that particular issue. Hello?
Okay, so that's great. That's great, Abha. And what about the connection to the CO mapping? How are you connecting the assessment to the CO
As
mapping?
I said, that for the first basic level questions like causes and effects and explain question answer types, it would be for CO course outcome level 1 and 2. That is just to impart basic awareness and help students get the basic knowledge on environment. Then the second one that we are saying, that where they have to identify a problem in their own particular locality that they are staying, which would be third, that is to identify the problems related to environment. Then for the next case study, as we have said, it's a high evaluation standard. The course outcome 4, that is a case study is already given to them. So the course outcome, it would match up to evaluate the measures which are suggested for environment conservation in terms of their sustainability, as to how long term they are in terms of how long term sustainable they are in their practical application. And then the fourth one, where they have to come up with some innovative idea which is not existing as of now to address a particular issue, would be the fifth one, where they actually participate and innovative design, innovate, come up with some new solutions. So that would be the fifth outcome of course outcome that it would match up to.
Great, Abha, great. That is really nice. Anybody else who would like to share?
Thank you.
Anybody else who would like to share? Nilofer ma'am, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Tell me.
Yeah, that's all from my side for today.
Okay. Any questions, participants? Any queries, questions, anything you want ma'am to repeat? Any slide that you want her to repeat again? None? Okay, then okay, then on behalf of Alana Institute of Management Sciences, I would like to thank ma'am for taking out time from her busy schedule and teaching us about the Bloom's taxonomy and how the mapping has to be done and the graduate attributes. These are very, very important aspects of teacher's life. Your coursework file will not be completed without these documents. So, ma'am, I'm thanking you from the bottom of my heart for giving us such insightful session. So that's all from my side, and tomorrow we will be continuing with the same session. So
Thank you so much, Nilofer. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone.
tomorrow the links would be shared on the same WhatsApp group link. So kindly join the session as soon as possible. As soon as the group, the meeting room is full with 100 participants, we'll have to go online again on YouTube. So we'll be sending you the link. I think 10 to 15 minutes before tomorrow. Please refer to the schedule that has been shared already on the group, day-wise schedule. Fine. And in case of any queries, you can contact us on the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much and have a good evening. One more thing, participants, we are sharing the feedback form on the WhatsApp group just now. Kindly give your feedback. Thank you. Shagufta ma'am, Shagufta madam. Okay, thank you so much.